I'm gonna be placing the shower panel right here on this wall. I'm basically redoing my entire bathroom, so the installation in the existing bathroom might be a little bit different. I'm just showing you what I do and how I do it. This may be helpful to you in planning how to put the shower panel in your house. Because I have an open wall, I put supporting 2x4s in two places that will hold the brackets. Those are the brackets, one of them that will hold the shower panel. Also, because I wanted to have easy access to the valves coming out of the wall, and I wanted the option of closing and opening them without shutting off the water in the entire house, I put these bags that I got in Home Depot for about 20 bucks. I bought the valves at Lowe's, and I cut the old copper pipes that were running in a wall. Basically the old diverter was located right here, and I made new connections with water hammers. Water hammers were here before on my old installation, so I've decided to keep them. So basically cut my cold water line right here, put a T, and this is my cold water. Hot water goes right here, and hopefully this is gonna be the perfect location for the box, and it's gonna make my life much easier when installing and shutting on and water off. It shouldn't be a problem. I have also decided to rotate the head of the valves about 45 degrees in, because the hoses will fit much nicer underneath the box. And also I had to buy adapters to be able to connect the hoses, because those are a little bit bigger sizes, and basically that's how it's gonna look like. I'm gonna be putting in my bathroom the bathtub made by Jacuzzi. I think this is a Primo series, and this is 60 by 36 inches bathtub, nicely made acrylic, which will go in the alcove. This is the drop-in bathtub. It doesn't have flanges on the side, but I've decided to use this type of tub because it's easier to put in, level, and just in case something happens, I can easily just slide it out of the bathroom without ripping the walls. I had a little problem with the existing drain, because the existing drain was located right here. My previous tub was 45 inches wide. This one, like I said, is 36, so the drain has to be located right here. But I found a really good solution I'm gonna show in a second. So what I did, I purchased 22.5 degree angle PVC pipe in Home Depot, which perfectly aligned with the spot where the drain has to be located. So instead of being here, it turns nicely to this spot where the location of the drain should be. And my overflow is supposed to be right here, so I put two flexible connections, and my overflow can easily reach to the side without doing any weird plumbing and moving everything. So it's gonna be right here. And so last night I finished placing the drain in a correct location. That's not easy, because you need to match the drain location with the drain on the bathtub. So to do that, I placed the PVC pipe. I made some markings without gluing those together, and because as you can see my drain is totally off center, I was lucky enough that 22.5 angle PVC pipe actually fitted perfectly to place my drain in this location, and to place it right underneath the drain. Like I said, I had to dry fit it, and then I made some lines on the floor before I was gluing to, and I did double check it or even triple check it to make sure that before gluing everything's gonna be in place, and actually it does match perfectly. So my next step is going to be filling this empty area around the drain pipe with cement, or in my case I'm actually using the thin set that I had left over from the last job, and this will make sure that the drain pipe will not move or shift when I'm gonna be moving the tub over it and installing the tub. I have completed filling up the space around the drain with a thin set, and my drain fits perfectly, doesn't move. So I have completed 3 walls of my bathtub framing, and this is the final result. I didn't build the front side because I need to get an access to my back of the bathtub to finish niche and to finish the drain. So I'm done with my frame. I just want to add one more thing that might be helpful to you. I've added additional 2x4 on the left side of the bathtub. The bathtub goes around it, and the flat part of the top of the bathtub is going to be supported by this piece, because there is a angle going inside of the bathtub. I had to shave the top to the shape of the curve, and this will give me additional support on the top of the bathtub. And I'm doing this because I'm gonna mount a frameless door right on the edge of the tub, so this thing will be supported right here. So not only the tub is gonna be supported by the edge of the tub, but the 2x4 is going to fill this space over here, and it will give me additional support, which also will prevent the tub from moving in and out. Because when I was originally trying to level it, and I noticed that even though the tub was sitting on the edge of the frame, it was still moving a little bit in and out. So by putting that, this basically prevents the tub from moving, because one of the edges of the 2x4 is basically touching the side of the tub, and the other one is touching this side. So it's basically extra support for the tub, and it's going to prevent it from moving. Now I'm starting to build a niche, which is going to be right here. So I had to cut the metal stud at the top level. I'm gonna bend it. I'm gonna make it a support for the bottom shelf. Okay, so here is my niche already in place. I just have to screw it, put everything back together. Now, very important thing, when you want to put a 2x4, the wooden one, into the metal stud, you have to remember that you have to open that lip to the outside. The metal studs have this edge, you know, if you can see it, it curves in. You need to make a cut and open that to the outside to make it flush with the outside surface of the metal stud. Otherwise the stud will not fit. Now to make everything level, I put a clamps, and then I'm gonna put a screws through metal studs into the wooden studs to ensure that everything is level and it doesn't move during my fastening process. And this is how the niche looks like after putting all the support. To protect my niche from leaking the water, hopefully there's gonna be no leaking, into the other side where my office is, I decided to put just the tar paper, which will make it 100% waterproof. And I couldn't put anything else because there's a wall right behind it, so there's no space to put anything else. And I'm just gonna put a silicone around it. And previously I put little patches underneath the legs of my tub, which is right here, and then I put a little black foil to prevent the cement from sticking to the bottom of the tub, and I'm gonna be putting that in place soon. And now I have just finished putting cement underneath the tub to support the bottom. That's how it looks. I put a little foil, and you can see everything right here. There's a bit of cement right here. Of course I had to jump on it a little bit to make it flush, but everything is good. Now I'm going to install the drain. So for that, all you have to do is put a plumber's putty on the bottom side of it, just screw it down, and that's gonna be end of this process. I'm just gonna tighten it down, then later we're gonna check if there are no leaks. Okay, it's been about 24 hours since I put the cement underneath the tub. Everything looks solid. So I'm moving to the next step. It's pretty good and hard. Okay, the next step that I'm going to do is I'm gonna put a protection on the side of the tub, and for that I'm going to use this L-shaped piece of aluminum that I'm recycling from my previous bathtub. My previous bathtub was also drop-in, and this piece was basically silicone down right on the edge to protect the water from getting behind the tub. And this system was working perfectly for the past 25 years, so that's why I decided to use the same thing on my tub. So I'm just going to put a silicone underneath, and then on the top I'm gonna put a couple of screws to secure it to the wall, and there's gonna be no water going underneath the tub, so no leaks. So now I'm gonna put this silicone on the back of my aluminum piece. Okay, now we're gonna put the last piece in place, and that should be it for today. Okay, push it down, make sure that silicone is equally distributed underneath this flange, and we're done. So now I put a little bit more silicone in the corners with two metal pieces joined together. I also put a couple of screws just to hold it in place, prevent it from moving or shifting. And this should hold well for next 30 years. Nice and tight. HardieBacker board is very hard to cut if you have to cut really small tiny pieces. It's pretty easy to cut it with the knife and then you snap it. It's made out of 90% of cement and there is some silica, so you really should not cut it with any electrical tools like sawzall or regular saw inside, because this creates a lot of dust. If you breathe it, it gets to your lungs and then you can get sick. So do not do it. If you want to cut small pieces, use a wet saw, or if you don't have it, cut it outside. And well, I was doing that yesterday. I was using my respirator mask even though I was using my sawzall outside. You know, you just want to be careful, so I'm just gonna cut it using the wet method, so there's gonna be no dust going to my lungs or anywhere else. Before working with HardieBacker board, the board should be thoroughly cleaned with the wet towel, otherwise you're gonna bring all the dust and all the other stuff inside of your house. Then you're gonna breathe it, which is not right. So you're gonna clean it a couple of times. That's all it's on a board. I do it about 3 times. Then the board is gonna be ready for cutting. Once the board is clean, then before setting the tiles, you have to wet it again with the wet sponge, because HardieBacker board draws a lot of water. If you don't do it, then there's a chance that your tiles will not stick to the board. For bigger pieces, I use score and snap technique recommended by HardieBacker. I just use regular utility knife to make a notch, and then after a couple of tries I'm going to snap it. Now I'm going to try to snap it. There you go. Nice and clean. For cutting small pieces, I cut one line with my wet saw, then I make a with my knife a couple of times, and then I just try to break and snap by doing this. And that's it. So I'm almost done with my HardieBacker boards. I just have a couple more pieces. It turns out that I don't have enough screws, so I need to go and buy it. Just so you know, if you use a HardieBacker board, you need to use special screws called Bakeron. I use 1 5/8 number 10, and those are special screws that are green. You cannot use any other screws because they are not going to be the right ones. Those are green. specially designed for baker boards. And you're supposed to leave 1/8 gap in between the boards. If you need more information about baker boards, go on their website. They have a very good instructional video. Because I'm going to have a shower panel that's gonna cover that, I'm leaving a small gap over here that I will later put a baker board on, and I'm just gonna seal it with silicone just in case the valves are leaking or later I need to replace them. I'm gonna have easy access to hold this copper pipe and remove it instead of just ripping the wall. And in this part I'm not gonna put any tiles, I'm just going to use a baker board over here. It's gonna be a little bit smaller. This way I'm gonna have easy access to those valves behind the shower panel. Now I'm gonna put a HardieBacker board on both sides and on the back of the wall. Correct the gaps, and that should be it. Before I'm going to put the tape and thin set on the wall, I use silicone to fill the gaps just like that, and then I'm gonna put a tape and thin set. To properly install tiles on HardieBacker board, you need to use VersaBond. You cannot use regular thin set. Also, as a tape, you cannot use regular fiberglass tape. You need to use this gray alkaline tape that is specially designed for HardieBacker. So remember, don't use the regular white one. You need to use this gray alkaline resistant tape. Now I'm gonna show you how to mix VersaBond thin set with water, and what is the appropriate ratio between thin set and water. Very easy. According to the instructions, you need to put the entire bag of VersaBond into 6 quarts, which is 5.68 liters of water. Mix it for 5 minutes, let it set for 5 minutes, and then mix it again after 5 to 10 minutes. Because I'm gonna be working on a small project and I don't wanna mix a whole bunch of thin set at the same time to prevent it from setting too fast, I figure out the easy way. I take this is 1 quart bucket from a ceramic tile adhesive. You fill it up with VersaBond, and you put this is as much as you put, almost full, and 250 milliliters of water, which is 8 ounces of water. So 1 cup of water and VersaBond. If you want to mix more, you just multiply it. Then you mix it. I use this attachment with the drill and slowly mix it for 5 minutes. Now I'm gonna put another cup of water because I need 2 units of each. And I'm gonna start mixing, and I'll show you the consistency of the thin set. Now I have some VersaBond ready mixed to fill the gaps and joints in my HardieBacker. I did use about like 4 scoops of VersaBond to around 400 milliliters of water. After mixing for 5 minutes, you need to let it set for 5 to 10 minutes before it's ready to use. Then I'm gonna use this gray alkaline resistor tape. Okay, so now I'm going to fill the joints with this VersaBond tin set. Then I'm gonna apply the tape. And now we're finished with VersaBond tin set right over the tape. Please be aware that VersaBond is a fast setting tin set, so work on the small areas so you don't get the product that's gonna dry out pretty quickly and then you're not gonna be able to do anything. So work on small areas and just finish that nicely. Before applying anything like a tin set on a HardieBacker board, make sure you wetten the area of the application, because HardieBacker sucks the water out of the tin set. So if you want to have a good grip, make sure the area is wet before you start doing your application. Also, this applies where you're gonna be putting the tiles. You have to wet entire surface area where the tiles are gonna be touching HardieBacker board. Otherwise, I was reading a couple of stories online of people that didn't do it and that they had a problem with the tiles not sticking to HardieBacker board, and they were actually blaming Backer board for the failure of installation. Okay, now all joints are dry. I'm ready to start setting the tiles. Before that, I made a line so I know where my level is. So this is where the first row of tiles will go, and a line going up. So I'm gonna start from this corner, gonna go over here. When working with HardieBacker, very important thing is to wet the HardieBacker board right before applying the glue. I mean VersaBond or thin set. Otherwise the board may not hold the tile because it draws a lot of water, and then the glue is gonna be too the glue is gonna be very dry too quick. Alright. So I'm almost ready for the application. Okay, this is wet. Alright, now we can put a tin set on. Okay, so now I'm done with my tiles and grouting, and I'm getting ready to put my shower panel in place. So I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna mount it. Well, the first thing, of course, is to read instructions, and this one says that the distance between two brackets holding the panel are 650 millimeters, which is 65 centimeters. Now my panel is upside down, but what I did, I put a tape on the side of the shower panel and I made marks right here, which correlate to the level of the brackets that are gonna be in the back. Right, one here, the other one right here. Then I put a tape on the tiles so I can use my pencil and I can see what I'm drawing. So this is the level, which is going to be right side. This is the left side of the panel. This is the top side of the top. This is the position for the top bracket. This is the position for the low bracket. Those are the two sides. I made a center so I know where to put the holes. I took one of the brackets, actually on both of them I mark where the middle is, put it right to the line, make a marks for the holes. One is gonna be right here, one is gonna be right here. You want to have it centered so everything is nice and level. Same thing over here. I'm gonna use the hammer drill and hammer bit, and I'm gonna drill the holes and I'm gonna install my shower panel. You push. And that's how the brackets look like on the wall, and then I'm gonna put my shower on it. Cold water, now warm.